Hey friends, just a quick heads up. We had a few tech hiccups during this episode, but don't worry. The heart of the conversation is all still here.
In recent world, we live in an era where we are in abundance of information. So we have some heroes. Most commonly, I will just say political leaders. Some we love from our perspective, and our perspective, it's like a vicious circle, is influenced by what media tells us.
Welcome to Life's a Trip and I Forgot the Map, the podcast that embraces the messy, magical ride of figuring life out. I'm Misty, your host, your fellow wanderer, and here we trade perfection for permission to grow, stumble, laugh, and start over. So grab your emotional snacks, be sure to buckle up, we're in for a ride. Let's hit the road. Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to Life is a Trip and I Forgot the Map. Today's episode is a little different and I'm really excited for this one. Well, and to be honest, a little nervous. We're talking about perception, about the stories that we're told by media, by other people, even by our families, and how those stories shape the way we see our others, the world, and ourselves. My guest today is the incredible Shushmita, someone who brings a powerful voice and a lot of fire to these kinds of conversations. This isn't about canceling anyone or digging up dirt. It's about what if we don't always know the whole story, and what stories have we believed that maybe weren't even ours. So guys, let's welcome in Shushmita. Shushmita, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation with you.
And I had been waiting. When will Misty call me? When will Misty ask me? So I couldn't wait anymore. And I asked Misty myself, when do I get an episode? Then Misty said, we can come along next one. Yeah, you better call
Whenever
me.
you want. You're always
Yeah.
welcome.
Yes, and thank you, Missy. You are always one of my most favorite shades of creative, most favorite shades of freedom, of kindness, and I love your kindness, Missy. And all of you who are listening, just take my word for it. Not only me, I know the common people we have in our lives, Misty and I. Misty is the best friend you all want to have. And I am lucky enough to have already. We are lucky enough to have already. And it's your turn to have Misty as your best friend. And thank you, Misty, for having me here today.
Well, thank you for saying all of that, Shushmita. I so love you so much. You are absolutely incredible. You guys, Shushmita is one of the most intelligent, creative, talented people I know. She's got her hands in a lot of different things. You've got to follow her on all her social media. I will link all her stuff in the below in the description. Go and check her out. She has not only done my branding for this podcast, she's done the branding for the other podcast I was on before, also done the podcast for FLC, the Freedom Lifestyle Creators. Shushmita has done the branding for multi-million-dollar companies all over the world. Check her out. She's incredible. Her own art that she does on her own is fantastic. You guys need to follow her. Pick up some of her artwork. You're going to enjoy everything about this woman. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Like, that is so incredible. Her Facebook page, I know we're really off topic, but her Facebook page, she posts the videos of her creating these beautiful art pieces, and it's phenomenal. You don't see many people doing that. At least I don't. And I think it's awesome. I think you're absolutely fantastic. And I love it. So Shushmita, you and I were talking the other day about the stories we see in the media and how sometimes they don't match who someone really is. Can you share an example of a public figure or story that really opened your eyes to this? And what made you question the narrative?
In recent world, we live in an era where we are in abundance of information. So we have some heroes. Most commonly, I will just say political leaders. Some we love from our perspective, and our perspective, it's like a vicious circle, is influenced by what media tells us. And we also will see very contrary perspectives again from media, and that will also manipulate our perspective somehow, because we live in an era of information abundance. So very recently, the conversation Misty is mentioning is very recently. I came to read some books about Misty. Shall I say the name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your
You can say
podcast.
it.
You take the phone. Okay. I'll start over.
I don't think it'd be taking the fall because we're not the only ones talking about this, and we're not getting into that kind of dirt. We're not bringing up that kind of dirt. We're just mentioning the way we've talked about how we're perceive the information we're given and how that can affect us.
Thank you. So the conversation Misty is referring to very recently we had, that conversation happened because I was reading a book on Princess Diana. Now we all from the 90s, anyone who lived through the 90s know about Princess Diana and how she's the princess of our hearts, the queen of our hearts. And she was a fashion icon. And I am from Bangladesh. That is me saying every beauty parlor had Princess Diana haircut, and every jewelry store had Princess Diana tiara, her necklace, like they can make you a design like this. She was a fashion icon. So for long, long time, for decades, she has been perceived to me as the ideal woman, commoner who went to the royal family and couldn't keep up with the pressure. And she had her own challenges in her marriage. Of course, her tragic early death. God love her and may she rest in peace. Yet, I will not mention precise writers and precise books because you can search, you can find, and you can have your own conclusion on that. But what struck me the most is in this era, if she were to live through this era currently that we are living, I don't think she would be as popular as she had been because we only heard her side, and she after marriage she got into the royal family who has a policy of never complain, never explain. So they kept silent in a lot of their private matters. To this day, this is the same for the British royal family. They keep privacy and they don't share their in-house stories with others, with public. An attribute that has been weaponized by many, including, unfortunately, Princess Diana. Okay, so book that I was reading, I don't mention any name or any writer because you can all Google search and you can find, but I will just share my understanding from this is Princess Diana or anyone is not as uncomplicated as we think, neither are anyone as evil as we think because our perception in the 90s and afterwards is entirely manipulated by the media. That, first of all, shocked me so much. It seemed like a large part of my childhood was just media fed, and we didn't have any other way. And I am from way this part of the planet. So many news are also not coming through. To this day, that happens. Not every country has access to information about other countries through media. And
Yeah.
we have had in our part of the world, not only us, but many countries are going through political turmoil. And we always want to conclude this is good, this is bad. The truth is, in politics or in public region, in wide public region, nothing is pure black and white. Everyone has their complications, everyone has their secrets, and everyone has their goodnesses that they use to manipulate. Now, the point that I wanted to share this with you in your podcast, Misty, today is because I want to share this with everyone that we must pick our priorities. And I know this is a very healthy habit not to watch the news, but I am a reading freak. So I read the news, I watch the news, and sometimes even that helps me with my practice of art and writing. So this is, how can I say, this is an addiction that I cannot break free of. So
Yeah.
I would say that healthy habit is not going watching news and reading news, but if we are doing this anyway, people like me, I know some of you are like me, so having an open mind, we try hard, trust me, but it is not always easy. But once we pick our priorities straight, that will help us with coping with reality. For me, is you may be a great speaker, you may be an amazing public presence, you may know how to manipulate media, you may know how to showcase yourself in front of people, in front of the world. What do you do with it? For example, I know I have, how do I say? On one thing I am against Misty, and I tell you and I told her many times is that I don't like when Misty uses filter on her photos. And I don't like if anyone uses filter on their photos because Every one of us, every man and woman are beautiful in their own way. And I fight with Misty, like, what filter is this? Why are you putting filter? But Misty plays along with filter. I know. This is like our friendly thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, what do you do with it? Is putting herself on social media, and she has created this podcast to help you navigation through life. And many of us have lost the map, and this is too Misty. This is the fun part. When you don't have the map, you just navigate through this. So yes, I love Misty for this. And some of us, me included, have the priority of keeping private to ourselves and having our own, being within our shells, because we feel safe here. And whenever we come out, we are selective. I am speaking for myself. I am selective. You will see me with Misty on this podcast, on previous podcasts, or on FOC podcasts, you will see me. But otherwise, no, because my priority is, even if I share one sentence, I want this to be meaningful. And I want this to make a difference. I believe I cannot do this alone. I need voices with me. And I chose Misty's voice. And I chose the other people. Along with them, I can make a difference. And I know many of us are like that. So this is the reason why I wanted to share this, is what we see as perfection is almost never the perfection, I would say. Almost never. And what we see as imperfect evil may not be always true. However, this is a very good thing to have a moral compass in our heads. Like Misty's logo, we must have a compass in our head and in our heart. Like, how much do we accept, how much do we not accept, and what lines should never be crossed. This is what makes us human beings, a superior being than any other species. So
Yeah.
I hope I conveyed my message clearly. If not, Misty is here. And this is why I only appear with Misty, and because, yeah, sometimes I wonder if, like lost map, maybe my words are lost too.
Yeah.
Misty, you please
Don't worry, I lose it all the
share.
time. You know me, I forget everything, so losing the map is not a big deal. um, I do agree with you because like you're saying that when we look at social media or what the world is portraying, like the news or whatever else, they're using somewhat of a filter because they filter out the truth a lot of times and they give us this watered down or filtered look of somebody else's life and who they are, right? So, and I love the fact that you brought up that I use filters because I use the filters because I want to, first of all, if you know me, I've been through a lot of crap. Of course, there's people out there who go through a lot worse than I have, and that's partially why I'm doing this. But I use the filters on my pictures because of the fact that I'm trying to get used to, first of all, being on camera and having pictures taken of myself because I don't have the self-esteem that I would love to have and that I should have. And so I use those filters to get that, to be able to feel comfortable with that. And now with the podcast, as you see with the branding, I'm not a small girl. I'm a big girl. And I don't feel like this is my perception because I'm on the inside looking out. And I know it's wrong because I know that the perception that I've been given and I've learned from the media and everybody else around me is different than what reality is. And what I mean by that is I don't feel like I'm very pretty and I feel like I'm kind of just odd shaped and just weird looking. But that's my perception because that's what I've been given from other people or I've been made to believe by other people. Okay, so that's where episode is about. It's about the perception that not only are we getting from other people, but how we see ourselves and how we see other people by what's given that information. Because like they say, there's three stories, three sides to every story, right? There's your story, their story, and the truth. So there's our story, what we see. There's the story of the person the media is printing about and talking about, right? And then there's the truth of the actual person. So you're talking about Princess Diana, and we're not going to go too much into this story because, first of all, we don't know the entire truth, and we don't want to offend anybody, so that's not what this podcast is about. But we're talking about Princess Diana and how the media has portrayed her as this big princess and almost like everybody's princess. She's a commoner and married into the royal family, and everybody just loves her and she just can't do anything wrong. When in reality, she's a human being and we don't know that side of her. So, like I said, there's our perception the media's perception and the truth, right? So we have to really take in and discern or choose or try to see what the truth is and be open to receiving the truth when we find it, right? And I love you for, first of all, I want to thank you so much for choosing me and whatever platform I'm using to help get your word out, because you do have a voice and what you have to say is very important. And I want to make sure that you're heard. Everybody deserves to be heard, and everybody deserves to be able to have that voice. And that's partially why I'm doing this, because I want people to come together. So I wanted to ask you, Shushmita, knowing all of this that we get from media and from social media, the news, whatever, or even just our families or friends, how does this affect how we talk about other people that we may not even know?
Okay, before this, I want to say, Misty, you are very brave for admitting the complexes that you have. And I have the same, by the way. If you do not know, Misty knows, but the audience, you do not know, I have had the same complex, and I lost 26 kilograms through crash diet to look pretty because I'm fat. Since birth, I am fat by nature, and I'm short.
You're beautiful, and you're not short.
Yeah, I keep telling you the same thing, Misty. You know how it
I
is,
know,
right?
I know.
So,
But see, I'm
yeah.
short too, but I keep telling people I'm in the Goldilocks zone. I'm not so tall that I'm up in the smog. I'm not at butt level, so I'm not getting fumigated. I'm in the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, so I know what it is like. And when, for me, when I see someone, by the way, I will put the ending, that diet eventually caused my kidney and liver to suffer. I had to be hospitalized. And then the doctor said, if your brain is intact, be thankful, because when brain is also a fat cell. So the things I did through for a very long time, what I put my body through, could be irreversible damage. I am lucky enough to have come back from that. So when
Oh,
I
thank
see
God.
someone else trying to be beautiful through something else other than themselves, it hurts me because it reminds me of my own complex. So right now, in this frame, you cannot detect, and I carefully place myself so you cannot detect. I am still fat, but I am so thankful for my health, and that's it. So I don't want anyone to go through or do the dum-dums that I have. And regarding what you asked, Misty, regarding your question, how we are hardwired is, first of all, the growing years, 5 to 7 years, when we are with our family, what things we hear. Now, I will not put all the blame on parents or all the praise on parents either. I will not do that, because how much did they know, and how much do they know till death? They are trying their best. So what we hear, in our core self, we are always positive. Children don't feel sadness. Children don't feel anger. They feel hunger, they feel frustration. Once they're fed, they go to sleep. That's all. Desire, that comes way after. These things we pick up from our family, from our teachers, from our neighbors, surroundings. That's how we pick up that what we have is.
It does make sense, because like what you're saying is our perception of ourselves and how we see the world is being controlled and conditioned by media and what they think that we should be thinking, in order to keep us into almost like a servitude of, we have to try to be better, we have to try to be skinnier, we have to try to be prettier, we have to buy these things, we have to diet this way, we have to. Who are we to sit here and allow somebody else, like the media or someone else outside of ourselves, dictate what we think is pretty and what's right for us? Who are we to allow other people and the media to dictate who we are as an individual and what's right for us? The ones that should be deciding what's right for us and what beauty looks to us and how healthy we are is ourselves as an individual. We shouldn't be looking out to media or anybody else, because of the fact that everything else is being conditioned. Everybody else is being conditioned, and that's what they're trying to do, is condition us into thinking that we have to be a certain way, when in reality, I'm sorry, guys, you're going to have to hold me accountable here. I love diversity. I love the fact that there's people that look different and that aren't this cookie cutter beautiful, what the social media or their standards think that we should be. I'm sorry, if you're heavyweight and you feel happy that way, I do want you to be healthy, absolutely. But if you're happy and you're doing what you need to do to be healthy, I love you. You're beautiful. Stay that way. But you need to be healthy on top of everything else, and do it in a healthy manner. Because like you were saying, some of the diets that they want us to do, and they advertise, they come off, they're presented as healthy, but they're not healthy at all. So you need to have that awareness and do your research for you as an individual and your body type and what's right for your body, not for everybody else. Because you have to see where the person's coming from. Are they reflecting or deflecting how they feel about themselves onto you? Or are they actually concerned and meaning something from the heart instead of trying to hurt you? Because you have to really be able to see where that person's coming from and where they're going with it. I can say it from another perspective because in my instance, I have always believed what other people told me. Like I got married at 16, right? I was pregnant and married at 16. And my mother always told me that I was untalented, I couldn't do anything, I was only good enough to be a housewife and a mother, if I could even do that right. And I started believing that. And then when I was really little, she would tell me that my butt was bigger than hers, and she was 250 pounds, and I was like really skinny. And I didn't realize it until I got older, and all my kids are grown and moved out now. So I didn't realize it that she didn't realize what she was saying. She was saying things that were handed down to her by her mother. So she was automatically, without thinking or knowing it, realizing it, handing that down to me. And I had to sit back and, yeah, it hurt. It still does hurt. But I had to sit back and think, okay, she didn't really mean that to me. It was just what she was carrying and all she knew. So she was handing it off to me like, here, I don't know what to do with this. You know what I mean? So I did take that on, and I do think that it's part of why I am the way I am. However, I get to pick and choose what I'm going to take and what I'm going to leave. And I'm choosing to leave all of that negativity with my mother, wherever, God bless her, rest her soul, she's gone. But I'm letting her take that with her. I'm letting her let that go, and I'm not holding on to it because it's not my responsibility and it's not mine to carry. It has nothing to do with me. That had everything to do with her and how she felt about herself. She was projecting onto me, and I don't have to carry that. So I think if we're able to share that with people from the beginning or a younger start, the better. The better people can let things go and move forward. So if somebody's saying something to you like my mother used to do to me. If somebody's saying something like that to you, you have the choice. Do I hold on to this as truthful, as gospel, or do I let it go because it's hurting me and it doesn't really have anything to do with me? Okay? You have to dig deep within yourself because deep inside of you, you know exactly who you are, what you're capable of, and what's right for you. You know that. You don't have to accept what everybody else on the outside of you says or does. That's their truth. That's not yours. You know you. And that's what this podcast is about. If you've lost that, let's become that. Let's find it. That's where the map comes in. If you don't have the map, welcome to reality. None of us have it. I can tell people I was under the desk that day that they handed them out, or I thought they said take a nap and I went and took a nap instead. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have the map. You have to find out who you are on the inside and what's right for you because you're the only one that knows. Other people can say that they truly know you and they don't. It does not matter how close they are to you and how much they know you. Your mother does not know who you are as a human being, as a person on the inside. She doesn't know that. She never will. She never can. She can't. She's not you. You're the only one that knows that. You're the only one that makes the decisions of how you're going to live your life and how you're going to take in and what you're going to let go of. Okay, so this has been such a powerful conversation, and honestly, I think so many of us have believed stories that weren't ours to carry. Maybe it can come from the media, maybe it can come from an ex, maybe it can come from a parent, a teacher, a post online, but whatever it is, it's okay to let it go. What doesn't serve you, you're allowed to question, you're allowed to rewrite, you're allowed to become something new. I want to thank you, Shushmita, for being here. I want you guys to follow Shushmita, check out her information and everything she's doing. I will post all her information in the description. Be sure to check out Shushmita's YouTube channel. She posts videos of her drawings and stuff that she's doing as she's doing them. So I'll post all of her information and links and everything in the description below. Also, possibly a small description of her business and what she does, so you can have that as well and kind of know a little bit more about her. So if something in this episode made you pause or even made you uncomfortable, that's okay. Growth usually starts right there. So make sure to follow Shushmita and connect with the work she's doing, like I said, and we'll link it down below. And if you've ever found yourself asking, who told me that I had to be this version of myself, just know you're not alone. You can choose a new story anytime. Thank you for taking this trip with us. And until next time, toss the map, take the scenic route, and trust your own truth. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Life's a Trip. If you're figuring it out as you go, same here. Hit follow, leave a review if you're feeling generous. And remember, you don't need the whole map, you just need the next step.